Another selection of shorter Dragon Ball What Ifs requested by viewers. The first request comes from Stephen Quinn on what if the Dragon Balls didn't exist. Things are different from the start, with Bulma never going to search for them, and Goku never being convinced to leave Mount Paozu. Umigame isn't helped out, and at best gets far too lost to return. Oolong continues his deception at Aru Village, and Gyumao seeks out help to find Muten Roshi, eventually finding a lead that has he and Chi-Chi encounter Kuririn on their way there, who is given immediate approval to learn from Roshi as thanks for having helped Gyumao, as well as the latter's approval to be Chi-Chi's betrothed, despite her disapproval. Kuririn is defeated as usual at the 21st Tenkaichi Budokai, with Jackie Chun defeating Namu in the finals before telling him of easy access to water. A few months before the Budokai though, Pilaf, not seeking the Dragon Balls, has him instead put all his resources into the Pilaf machines far earlier, as a means of taking over the world by force. He attempts to start conquering territory around the west until coming to Mushroom Village, where Tonin Jinka bows down and desires to shake his hand as a sign of peace, with Pilaf falling victim to his magic, and Tonin Jinka getting the machines once he persuades Shu and Mai to give them away in return for Pilaf's safety, turning them into carrots too once they are defenseless. He then expands the Rabbit Gang with brute force and technique to give him confidence in invading the western capital once he gets used to the controls. He easily conquers it, but even the combined machine is incapable of standing up to the Royal Defense Army when they are sent to liberate the city. His athleticism allows him to escape the machine before it's destroyed, and transmutate several soldiers during his retreat. Similarly, the Red Ribbon Army changed their approach in consolidating their forces in preparation for invading the central capital, with the Western Liberation Operation proving a good opportunity. Even this isn't enough to conquer King Castle though, with several powerful officers being defeated before Red orders a retreat and puts full effort into Gero's artificial human research. Back to Kame House, Roshi still considers it important to train in secret to make sure Kuririn doesn't surpass him. At the 22nd Tenkaichi Budokai, Tenshin Han gets matched up with Kuririn, as Yamcha never left the eastern desert, and breaks his leg instead, Jackie forfeiting against him as usual, and Chaozu meeting him in the finals. His prediction coming true prevents him from leaving Surusenin though, and he is left with emptiness rather than confidence, when more conflicted at his path. It's after this that the Red Ribbon Army begin their counterattack, with Red having ordered Gero to place his brain within the design for Artificial Human 9. Red proves strong enough to conquer King Castle and announces his plans to conquer the world, with Roshi intensifying Kuririn's Shugyo once his leg is healed, then telling him to seek out Karin in the western lands once Kuririn has surpassed him. Kuririn learns from Karin and quickly completes the Shugyo. Red still proves a challenge with greater power, but his bulky size and Kuririn's heightened ability to predict his movements has him deal enough damage to defeat Red, while the Chaos has the royal soldiers fight back against the Red Ribbon, with Kuririn gaining recognition for saving the world. Seeing this has Tenshin Han motivated to face him again at the Budokai, with he and Chaozu leaving Surusenin. Kuririn also prepares for the Budokai when wishing for a rematch, and also visits Chi-Chi, agreeing to marry her once he wins. At the Budokai, Tao Pai Pai still participates to punish his brother's former students, but the lack of cybernetics causes Chaozu to be able to defeat him. Tenshin Han arranges for Kuririn to face him in the finals, despite defeating him yet again. Tenshin Han becomes able to fully embrace the ideals of Budo through the motivation to face a worthy opponent. 5 years later though, none of the major fighters have the power to oppose Raditz when he comes to Earth, that is, until he starts rampaging across the western part of the planet, where someone comes out of the desert areas to oppose him. Having spent many years to reach the limits of his abilities in preparation for striking back, Tonin Jinka opposes Raditz, who dares someone with such a low battle power to do anything to him, which are his last words before being turned into a carrot and eaten. Tonin Jinka quickly becomes Earth's Earth's hero and achieves the authority he wanted as a key figure in the royal military. This is unfortunately only something that lasts a few years though, with Gero still unleashing 17 and 18 who are unopposed. Babidi would give up on finding energy on Earth for a while. Cell, made up of Tenshinhan, Kuririn, Mutenroshi, Chaozu, and Toninjinka's cells, would achieve his perfect form, but be left with a fairly empty world, and no way to escape it. For Super, Beerus would erase Frieza before going back to sleep, Code taking control of the business and making sure not to annoy Beerus. Regardless of Super, Babidi would eventually set his sights on a direct conquest, and be unopposed until returning to Earth to fuel Boo's meter, only for Cell to make Dabra a carrot and threaten Babidi, but is unprepared for someone so adept at magic, and quickly becomes his servant. Babidi would eventually unleash Boo, and have everything to succeed, until arriving on M2 in GT's continuity. It's here that we see how crucial the series' titular objects are, not just in granting wishes, but how they brought so many characters together on this journey. The next one is from SJ1 Productions, on What If Gero prepared to attack earlier. Here, instead of disposing of artificial humans he finds defective, he sees any resources are better than none, with him throwing everything he can at Goku. Because of this more rushed approach, he goes with the SD version of 9, rather than the Dragon Ball Online version, and it going about as well as you'd think. It's on the day of the 23rd Tenkaichi Budokai that he starts his next attack with 10, 11 and 12, being sent to finish Goku off once Piccolo has fatigued him enough. 10 isn't interested in what Gero wants, but is filled with a desire to destroy all in his path. 11 objects to the violence, but wishes to meet the enemy of his detestable creator, and 12 isn't so smart, so he just follows whatever the other two tell him. 10 and 12 attack Goku immediately after he defeats Piccolo, but 11 gets in the way, with the remaining fighters helping out this unknown ally. Gero, foreseeing such an outcome, has him give 11's remote to 10, who deactivates his peer before starting the fight, though he and 12 prove an immense challenge. Tenshinhan, Yamcha, and Kuririn's techniques manage to overcome the pair before Yajirobe gives Goku a senzu, aware of there being those outside of their group who have great power in the world. Goku and Piccolo perform Shugyo far more intensely than normal, but don't become radically stronger than usual, without being aware of how much stronger than them someone can be. While the Dragon team prepare to face Nappa and Vegeta, Gero manages to create 13, 14 and 15. He doesn't release them immediately though, when wanting to assess the situation with the Saiyans. Though far weaker than their film incarnations without the updates from Gero's computer, they are still far stronger than anything else they can encounter at the time, and only held back by their personalities still not being what Gero is looking for. 13 and 14 being willing to get rid of anyone who stands in their way, even if Gero, and 15 having enough aggression to make him a loose cannon. Despite this, Gero throws caution to the wind and lets them loose once the battle with Vegeta is over. The Dragon team are helpless against them, and are all wiped out at once when gathered at Ukon Hospital. It's after this that, like 17 and 18, the trio start going their own way in terrorizing Earth, but Gero quickly deactivating them, when having seen they are effective for global domination. Gero has his computer attempt to perfect them, while he strives towards creating his ideal creation fully loyal to him, and make those he normally would, but with some changes. He would have no reason to release 17 and 18, instead creating 19 and having him help him become 20, as in History 1. He would also place focus on 13, 14 and 15's updates, with them joining him as obedient creations a few days after he and 19 begin their attempts to conquer Earth. As for events in the wider scale of the universe, Vegeta would head to Namek, but the Earthlings, providing no distraction for Dodoria, has him and Zarbon team up to put down Vegeta. They do so without interrogating him about the Dragon Ball he managed to take from Suno's village, with Frieza destroying both for this grave offense. Once this ruins any hope of gaining his wish, he destroys Namek as soon as the Dragon Balls deactivate. fate, and returns to his business in rage. Zarbon and Dodoria's roles eventually being filled by Tagoma and Shisami, respectively. Back on Earth, Gero's next move would be to invade Capsule Corporation and take Professor Brief hostage to make him complete his work on the Capsule spaceship that he left on hold after losing his daughter, so that Gero could bring his reach across the rest of the universe. It doesn't take long for him to conquer Earth, with him leaving 19 to see no rebellions happen, while 13, 14 and 15 follow him into space. Gero quickly takes over Frieza's business to become the intergalactic Red Ribbon Empire and faces no opposition until Babidi makes his plans overt. 19 is sent to oppose him and quickly dismantled, which has Gero put all his effort into opposing him, even awakening 16 when knowing his love for nature will at least make him oppose Babidi. Even a Super 13, far stronger from more resources to upgrade him, is no match for Dabra, and Gero sees no option left, having 16 use his bomb against him. Even should Dabra survive, Gero would swoop in immediately after the explosion, use Dabra's injuries as the opportunity to drain his energy, and put an end to him, though Babidi would attempt to stop him. It's here that Shin and Kibito would surround and finish him off, regretfully accepting Gero's victory with the party played, and it not being a Kaioshin's role to defeat a corrupt leader for their leadership alone. Gero would employ Hedor as his assistant soon after, to help create even greater works. In Super's continuity, Beerus would meet with Gero when seen it as necessary to impose on the successor to Frieza, before going back to sleep. Granola would eventually use the Dragon Balls to become the strongest in the universe to oppose Gero's new creations, quickly liberating the universe, especially with Hedor seeing the problems of his grandfather, and having the Gammas apprehend Gero as events for the Super, original manga, and GT continuities go a familiar route to regular viewers. It's here that we see the character flaw of Gero, though understandable he would postpone it, with his demise coming from a rebellious creation. It also prevented him from taking opportunities to achieve his goals, when the Dragon team became far more prepared to face him. The final request comes from Index on what if Beerus had the Super Saiyan God dream before Planet Vegeta was destroyed. Here, Beerus had it the last time he slept before his meetings with Kin Vegeta, and the Oracle Fish confirms to him that such arrival may appear in a few decades, but things are too hazy for her to know just yet. Beerus decides it's best to assure the Saiyan's safety, and orders Frieza to do all he can to help them grow as a species, and that he'll destroy Frieza if he dares to impede that, also telling him of Super Saiyan God, and asking Frieza to look more into it. Though filled with frustration and jealousy at the treatment these monkeys have been given, Frieza obeys Beerus, and learns of this Saiyan law, with him sending the species on more dangerous missions, and giving them consistent access to medical machines, which causes the battle power of all Saiyans to skyrocket. From these dangerous missions bring out their Saiyan power. Frieza does see a loophole in Beerus's order, that it's to assure an ideal opponent emerges from them, and whose mind possesses the body doesn't matter, with him ordering Ginyu to aid in his plan. Ginyu confronts Vegeta in what's supposed to be a private sparring match, and steals his body before wiping his old one out. Though he takes a while to get used to it, a few weeks is enough for Ginyu to get to grips in utilizing Vegeta's power, and assuring the Saiyans have full loyalty to Frieza through his orders after challenging Vegeta's father for the title of kin. They aren't the only ones grown stronger though, as Frieza thinks of how Beerus put more stock in this inferior species becoming his rival than Frieza, has him wish to prove himself by growing strong enough for Beerus to commend his strength, and pushes himself as intensely as after his revival, making those to serve as his punching bags, such as Ginyu, Zarbon and Dodoria, far stronger than Tagoma became, and masters both the golden and black forms, long before the Z era. Moving into that, Raditz would still go to Earth to see how his brother is doing, but be strong enough here, Gohan's rage has no effect on him, with Raditz wiping out Goku and Piccolo before taking Gohan, when impressed by his potential. Beerus's orders have who Raditz believes to be Kin Vegeta IV consider his his report and recommend the Saiyans breed with what can be judged as the most genetically worthy Earthlings. Gero keeps up his research, and the 17 and 18 who lived through Saiyan enslavement are far more willing to work with Gero for the greater good. They're able to fight off most of the Saiyans on Earth, with 17 and 18 making further use of their great potential, Frieza being forced to deal with the problem, and decides Earth has proven too rebellious to view as more than a failed experiment, with the Saiyan hybrids that include a completely indoctrinated Gohan being evacuated before Frieza destroys Earth, then destroying Buu immediately after when he's awoken in a weakened state. Babidi is thereby forced to make a direct conquest, but is quickly stopped, with Dabra's spit being the card he's forced to play too early against someone like Dodoria, before he can even oppose Frieza. The same applies to Moro as he starts rampaging. One of Frieza's higher-ups, such as Zarbon, acting as a useful pawn to find out more about Moro's ability, so Frieza can quickly get rid of Moro before he activates it. When Beerus wakes up, he's disappointed to see the Super Saiyan God hasn't emerged, but is impressed enough by Black Frieza that he's willing to write off his dream as a mere legend, and appoint Frieza as a student of Whis. Frieza asks if that means he'll be able to meet with those of other universes, the existence of which didn't seem to surprise him in Super, and Beerus mentions how the Hakaishin can use a cube to do so. It's with this moment of vulnerability that Frieza enacts a new plan, with what seems to be the Saiyan kin, challenging Beerus with claims of being the Super Saiyan God, only to body change with Beerus and dispose of Ginyu's prior host, as Frieza now has the key to manipulate the God hierarchy. Frieza and Ginyu wipe out the Saiyans, then go about visiting other universes and gathering information, biding their time until the day Zen-Oh requests the Hakaishin Battle Royale, where the plan is for Ginyu to switch bodies with Zen-Oh after Beerus's body gets beaten up. Though he manages to do so, not being able to use a body which already has poor control of their unfathomable power causes Ginyu's attempt to dispose of his former body to be an attack that accidentally wipes out all of those around him and the entire realm. Ginyu's anger at being trapped in a realm of nothingness causes his scream to break through dimensions, with him using such to hop between dimensions as he attempts to return to Universe 7. Should he do so, he would return to find Frieza's legacy being wiped out by Granola, after wishing to be the strongest in the universe. Again, Ginyu's lack of control over Zen-Oh's power is enough to destroy the entirety of Universe 7, and leading to Ginyu becoming the broken man from this loneliness. It's here that we see the importance of Planet Vegeta's destruction. Despite his desires to find the Super Saiyan God, the Saiyans being given no reason to change their ideology would prevent this goal ironically through their own protected status. Thank you for having watched through these what ifs. Comment your own requests for more or any Dragon Ball video, and subscribe to not miss them. Check out ones I've already done in this playlist, and I'll see you next time.